Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And today I wanted to show you how to make a spanner fold card. It's a fancy fold card, and if you followed me before, you know I love to make this particular fold. I've done it with a few different product suites. Peaceful Cabin was one that I did from the last catalog, the mini catalog, late last year. And today I wanted to make one using the On the Horizon product suite. I just thought this was a perfect one. I love the designer series paper in this product suite. It's like a scene. You don't have to do much stamping on it at all, and it creates a really beautiful card. So I thought I'd show you how to make my card. I'm sharing this card as part of the International Highlights blog hop that went live today. And so if you love my card, you'll be able to go follow my blog post, which is underneath this video, and hopefully you'll vote for my card. The voting will be open for just a week. So if you're watching this right after it posts, I hope you'll hop over and check out. You'll be able to vote for your top five favorite cards in this particular blog hop. I hope one of them will be mine, but just vote for your top five favorites, and that would be great. All right, let's switch over to my desktop and I'll show you how to make this card. All right, so here's the card that I shared. Isn't it pretty? I just love this. I love this fold. So when it stands, oops, let me take that off. It opens up. So it opens up like this. So you have this middle insert, and then you've got your inside of your card, but it's just like a scene. Now I have used a piece of window sheet to create this spanner or span in between, and that's what I've adhered my fence pieces to, and the pebbles and the grass. And then behind it, I've added some trees, and really the star of this is the designer series paper. Okay, so this is the On the Horizon stamp set, and there are coordinating dies with it. My dies are kind of a mess at the moment. So you have a whole bunch of dies. That one fits to that. Then these pieces create mountains. So you have mountain, solid piece for mountain, and then detailed pieces, these great little boat houses or little houses. I've used those on some cards. And then I'm using these pieces here. So I've got the grass that I'm cutting out. I've just taken a piece of the designer series paper. One side is the kind of the scene, and the other side is a more of a just kind of a mottled abstract color. So this is in Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to cut my grass and then some trees out of that. And then I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, which I'm going to cut my fence out of. So I've got those pieces set aside with the paper. All right, let's put that to the side. Oops, just about lost that one. And I've got my stamps already. The stamps are great. These little birds, the seagulls, and then I'm using the Thanks for Everything stamp. And this one for the inside. All right, so first of all, you're going to need, let's put those to the side. You're going to need a piece of cardstock. I'm using Misty Moonlight, and this is cut 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. Okay, so now turn it 90 degrees. And what you want to do is you want to cut your slits. So these two, so that you get this front piece of your card cut into 3 flaps. And so you're going to cut, I'm going to just turn this. You're going to cut, this is my front, at 1 1/4. So you're going to cut at 1 1/4 from the top down to 4 1/4, or to the score line. So along the 5.5 inch side, you're going to cut it at 1 1/4 from the top down to the score line. Now I find it easier than to take it and turn it and cut. Now I'm going to cut from 4 1/4, or cut from the bottom up to that score line, which I can't see my markings. Unfortunately, my score line is here. So again, that's to the 4 1/4. All right, so what you want to do is cut on both sides, on both edges, 1 1/4 inches to the score line. So that creates your 2 flaps. And now I'm going to grab my bone folder. If I can find it here. I need to organize this. Everything gets into a jumble behind here. All right, so let's just fold this on the score line. I'm going to try and keep these together. Fold it on the score line and then just give it a really good crease with my bone folder. So now I've got my front with this middle flap and my 2 outside flaps. Again, these 1 1/4 inches from the bottom up to the score line at 4 1/4. Okay. So now the next thing I have is I took a piece of the designer series paper and so you can use whichever piece you want. I'm just trying to figure out what I measured this at. So I took a piece of the designer series paper that was cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. And I cut it at 1 inch, and then, of course, I didn't do this, and then 4 inches, and then that left me with 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 4 inches, and a piece that is 3 inches by 4 inches. Now, if you're not doing a scene where it doesn't really matter that it's continuous, actually, I think it goes that way. No, it goes that way. Yep. All right. So if you're not doing a scene, you don't have to do it. You can just cut a piece that is 1 inch by 4 inches, another piece that's 1 inch by 4 inches, and then a piece that's 3 inches by 4 inches. But because I wanted to make mine look like a scene, I cut it like that. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to adhere my middle piece. Oh, I'm almost out of glue. I think I said that before when I'm doing videos. All right. I think I have another bottle here. Yes, I do. Good. All right, so I'm going to take this. This is going to be the middle. Actually, this is, all right, I cut this the wrong size. So this one actually should be cut. So mine's going to look a little different. This one actually should be 2 3/4 by 4 inches. So I should have trimmed this, but that's okay. It's going to be just a little bit bigger. All right, and then these pieces, before I put those pieces on, I've got a piece of window sheet that I've cut 1 inch by 5 1/4, and this is going to go over top. And you can put this in the middle if you want. You can put it farther down to the bottom. I'm kind of putting it about almost an inch from the bottom of my card base. And I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue here, and I'm just going to glue this down. This is going to be covered up by my designer series paper. So we just want to glue that in place. And now I can put my designer series paper down. So if you missed, and if I've confused you in any way because I got this measurement wrong on my card, the written instructions, measurements, and supply list will be on my blog, and the link to my blog is underneath this video. But I'm just going to, once I get this glued down, I'm just going to go over these measurements again. I'll bring in the original card because this is going to look a little different than my original. All right. So again, my card base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I have cut it. I've scored it at 4 1/4, 4 1/4, and then I've cut at 1 1/4 from both sides up to that score line. Now, this piece of designer series paper is 1 inch by 4 inches, and so is this one. And then this piece in the middle should be 2 3/4 by 4 inches. So it's just got a little bit more of a gap than the mine that I'm showing you here, but you can see it still looks good. It's just got a little bit more of a there is no extra piece because I cut it just a little 1/4 inch too wide, but this is the measurement you want, and that's what will be on my blog. All right, so that's my card front. Isn't that pretty? So now we can start decorating it up. I have got some mossy meadow And I'm going to do my stamping. I'm going to stamp the birds. Now, birds probably shouldn't be in Mossy Meadow, but because that's the ink I got, I'm going to stamp my birds in Mossy Meadow. And you could do this before you would hear it, but I'm just going to put some birds on each side like that and like that. So I've got my birds. And then I've got a scrap of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to cut out, I'm going to just stamp on here. Now, if you follow me, you know I like to fussy cut my sentiments, but you could use, this is about a 1/2 inch by about, so if you had a piece that was 2.5 by 1/2 inch, that would fit that. But I'm going to just take and fussy cut. Oh, and let's do, while I've got my ink open. This is the inside of the card. So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And we're just going to stamp this grassy down in the bottom. And then I'm going to stamp my birds. I never know which way these go. I think they go like that. Yeah, otherwise it looks like the birds are kind of flying upside down. So we'll just stamp some birds up at the top. That's all my stamping. That will be for the inside. That will be for my sentiment. Okay, so now we can start decorating. What I put on here is the fence and some grass, and then on the inside I popped up some of the trees, and then I tied a bow around. So let's do that. That's for the inside. Just bring in my pieces. So I've got my Stampin' Cut, my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Get my plates that I need. So I've got my plates. All right, so I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock. And I'm just going to run that through. So you want both sides of the fence. We're going to sponge this with some white craft ink just to make it look a little bit distressed. So there's that. And then, as I said, I just took a piece of designer series paper that I had around from when I had cut. I think I used it for a background. So this is just the piece that is Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to cut my trees and my grass from this designer series paper. You could do it from cardstock. But I like to use up these pieces of designer series paper, and it gives it a really nice, cool effect because of the coloring on the designer series paper. There. Okay, so there's some trees. Take your pick tool to get this out. There we go. That's the grass. Goes back. And then we can just take our fence pieces out. I love these fences. They're just so cool. You know, when I first saw this suite, I kind of thought I wasn't interested in it, but then I start to see, and I know it's always the way, you start to see some great projects made with it. All right. So every month I do a monthly card kit where you can get the kit, includes the stamp set, and you get a make and take kit to make 8 cards, 2 of 4 different designs. 2 are fancy folds and 2 are just regular folds. And in April, the kit is featuring this New Horizon or On the Horizon stamp set. And you will get the stamp set, and then if you want to add on the dies, you can add on the dies. So if you're in Canada and interested in it, you can message me, and the link or the information will be underneath you can get to my blog. Okay, so I'm just taking a sponge dauber, and this is the Whisper White Craft ink. So I'm just going to kind of sponge this to just make it look like it's got a bit of a whitewash on it, just so it looks like a bit old and distressed. Oops. You could use your blending brushes for this as well, but because this is craft ink, I just thought a sponge dauber would be better. right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold this a little bit. And I'm going to bring in, now you could either use your, the adhesive foam strips, or I'm going to cut. I just got, this is a piece of, the leftover piece of foam from my, my mini dimensionals. And I am just going to take, there's always extra on the side. So I'm just going to take a piece and just cut some strips. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm just going to adhere this. Now I don't need a full strip here because it's kind of sticking up above this. So I'm just going to put this close to the bottom of the first and the last picket on my fence. So the first and the last, and I've got it kind of shaped a little bit so that it will look like it's not solid against that. And I'm going to do the same. Just need another little piece. I don't need a very long piece. It's about a 1/2 inch. And there's my other piece. So we're going to do the same to this. So again at the bottom, because that's the piece that's going to be attached to the window sheet piece. That's a little long. We will just take and put that there. Okay. So, and we're going to do the same here. I'm just going to kind of round it up a little bit. Take the backing off of those little pieces. Now, so this piece and this piece, I just want to make sure I stick this only to the window sheet and not to the back of the card. And I want it to be a little bit raised up so that it looks, so you can see that it kind of sticks out a little bit. Now that might be a little bit too much if you're mailing this card. You may not want it to stick up too much. So we'll do the same to the other one. There we go. And I'm going to have a little bit of a gap between these. There we go. Okay, so there we go. It does stick up a little bit, but I will hand deliver this card as opposed to put it in the mail. All right, now this is my grass. So I am just going to take a glue dot. You could use a piece of, you could use some liquid glue, but I'm going to just use a glue dot on here and then on here. Just going to take that, and this glue dot's a little bit big, so I'm just going to that's a good thing. You can make these glue dots any size you want, and I'm just going to take and put this, that to show, on my fence like that. And I might need another glue dot just in behind this. So you can take them and kind of make them just little bits. Just pinch them with your finger, and you can make them any size you want. This one's sticking over a little bit, so I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. All right, so that's that side. And now I want to put the trees in behind. So these trees are going to go in behind like this. And it fits right across, but I am going to pop these up. So I'm going to grab my mini dimensionals, and I'm going to put a mini dimensional behind the trees like that. And then I'm going to cut just a little bit off this edge and attach it to the bottom of my trees, so that this pops up as well. There we go. Oops. Sticking to me. There we go. Get that off. All right. Now, let's put this, I want this just kind of right here, and so it looks like it's popped up. There we go. Just to give a little bit more detail. Now I've got, these are the Pebbles enamel shapes, and I'm going to use the gray ones, but they come in different shapes and different colors. There's the brown ones and the gray ones, but I kind of like the gray. And so I'm just going to put, I think I used 5, so I'm just going to kind of arrange them here underneath the fence, just to give it a little bit of detail. Maybe we'll put them there. On one card I use them, oops, I don't want to use them like stepping stones, which you could do. And then we'll do some down along the grass. There we go. So there's 5 pebbles on there. And then the last thing I need for, well, second last thing actually, where's my ribbon? This is the ribbon that comes with it. It actually, there's 2 colors that come with it. There is this one in Misty Moonlight, and then there is also Petal Pink. It's 1/8 inch cotton ribbon. So I'm just going to take a piece, and we're going to tie a little bow at the bottom. Hopefully I haven't. I'll move it afterwards. Now, when I tie a bow and I want the tails to go a certain direction, I always turn my card upside down. So in this case, I want my tails going towards the bottom. So if you turn your card upside down and then tie your bow and keep your tails going in the direction you want them. So this tail, I want to face that way. So I'm going to keep it facing that way as I tie. And it's just a little trick to get your tails going in the right direction. So when you turn this back upside down, or back right side up, your tails are both facing the way that you want them to point. Now I'm just going to fuss a little bit with this bow. Make mine, I just want a little bow. Here. All right, I've got this. I'm going to just try and turn this. Actually, I'm going to do this again. I had it a little bit of a twist in it. Okay, turn it upside down. Okay, let's get it straight to start with. That helps. All right. My fingers are not behaving this morning. All right, let's untwist it. All right, so again, this point or this tail I want to go towards the bottom of my card, so let's keep it that way. And then try to keep, there we go. And then these you can kind of move them around. And then for this one, I'm gonna put a glue dot underneath here just to hold it where I want it to stay. Let's grab the glue dot underneath like that, and then just put that. And now my bow will stay where I want it, and I can trim my tails off. And now my points, it always bothers me when my points or my tails on my bow don't face the way I want them to go. Okay, so now I just need to take my sentiment. Again, I'm just fussy cutting. You could use a die. You could have cut this in advance. So again, 1/2 inch by about I think what did I say, 2.5? Yeah, 1/2 inch by about 2.5 would be the perfect size. And then I'm just going to take this and pop this up. I think full-size dimensionals will work. Ooh, just. All right, so if your piece is a little bit smaller than mine, you might want mini dimensionals. But I think these ones are fine. Like that. And we're just going to take and pop that up halfway between. There we go. So that's the front of my card. They're really not that hard to make when you get going on them. Oh, I wondered what that was. I was looking at the image on my screen and I saw a big white spot, but it's the glare from the ring, my lighting onto the window sheet. All right, well, let's not glue this upside down. That wouldn't be good. This is the inside of my card. Like that. I love this grass. It reminds me, there used to be a stamp set called Wetlands, and I really loved it, and it had grass like that. All right, so there's my card. Looks pretty similar to the card that I showed you to start with now, and just the difference in I cut my piece in the middle 1/4 inch too big. So if you follow the measurements on my blog, you'll get one that looks like this with the extra, the misty moonlight showing by just a little bit on the middle. They look pretty similar. This one I've popped up and made it a little bit more dimensional than this picture here. All right. Okay, so if you have any questions as you're trying to follow along and it's not making sense, just leave a comment underneath my video or leave a comment on my blog if you found your way over to my blog, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I love it when I get comments on my videos, and particularly if I've made a mistake, please let me know that. If you are coming in through YouTube and it's the first time you've joined me, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get notified when I post upcoming videos or when I go live. If you're over on my blog and you're interested in getting my newsletter, you can subscribe to my newsletter by clicking on that. It's in the sidebar, or there was a pop-up when you got there. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping.